Tarran Mackenzie, welcome to London, mate.
First year in World Supersport. I've been to Australia and Indonesia. And
See that trophy, son?
Yeah.
That's mine. Standing in his pants, that's mine.
Even in my first year in British 125s, I was still playing football on the weekends off. I just did the bare minimum Taz. I did the bare minimum straight through. My engineering teacher is actually the brother of Tom and Ben Birchall.
I took Fraser Rogers out on the warm-up lap and he cried. Fraser, if you're listening, he cried.
Yeah, I managed to win the championship in my first year. Took the front into Sheen, broke a rib, and I got back to the garage, and it was the first time I'd ever had like a bollocking off a team. Yeah, the Moto2 year was tough, but it made me a better rider. Dean Harrison clipped elbows with me at about 120 miles an hour.
Honestly, the
yeah,
track.
I spun round, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many bikes.
It's a
Yeah.
Is that a scene out of Cars?
I think you were actually in front of me when I took the front. It was damp.
Definitely,
we were on
mate.
slicks and there was trees.
Yeah, I was always somewhere near the front.
No, ended up winning the first two races, won the championship. Yeah, it was an amazing day for everyone, for sure.
Boom, Danny Buchan. What a ride this is, and it is on.
Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Pushing the Limit podcast with me, Danny Buchan. Today, I'm not going to say we have an exciting guest. You are exciting, but I'm not saying that anymore. Tarran Mackenzie, welcome to London, mate. Thanks for coming on. I've been absolutely heckling you, haven't I? When you coming in?
No, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'll come down to the office. Well, I've been a number of times, but this is the first time for the podcast, so I'm excited.
Yeah, and you brought your dad with you, didn't you?
Brought my dad, yeah, he's 61.
No, you can't say that.
62 this year. Yeah, and just brought him out. He's buzzing with his rail card. He's 61 and he's found out he can get cheap train tickets. So.
Mate, that for him, that is
cool.
literally.
Yeah.
So he probably didn't even need to come today, did he? He just literally was like, going London, rail card.
What, 20 quid for a train ticket? I'm there.
I'm there, mate.
Yeah.
I'm there. But no, it's good to have you on. Obviously, we're half. Well, you've had a couple of races now, haven't you?
Yeah, two races. First year in World Supersport. I've been to Australia and Indonesia and went semi-okay. And we've got a break now till Assen, but excited to get back out.
Oh, it's so long that it's like we haven't even had a race yet, and you're literally 2 rounds in.
Yeah,
it's funny. Like, because you race so early, so you're off season. Obviously, you was off October, and then you didn't really get much time, do you? Really, because first round's February, Phillip Island.
Yeah, you test in January. First race is February, and then the following weekend straight to Indonesia, and then we've had a month and 2 weeks off, I think. And then I've got a week off, then Catalonia, and then it's like another month and 2 weeks off or something.
Yeah,
so.
That's mad, isn't it? Like if it was the MotoGP calendar, you'd understand that because you've got so many rounds.
Yeah.
But how many rounds in total is it?
12 or 13 rounds. We've got an extra round in Imola now. So, but it is literally from now till the end of the season pretty much one race a month.
Yeah, that's not
November,
too bad.
So.
Mate, it's like literally a holiday. I want to go World Superbike just for the schedule. Australia, obviously Indonesia.
Yeah.
What's that track like? That looks sick.
Yeah, it was really good, Indonesia. I probably enjoyed Australia a little bit more. When I got to Indonesia, I got a little bit of belly belly.
Oh, mate, everyone did though,
yeah,
didn't they?
everyone was pretty poorly with it. So it kind of took the edge off it a little bit, but the track was really good. The whole island is amazing, and really enjoyed the experience there. It was pretty hot, a lot hotter than it has been in BSB for the past 5 years. So, but yeah, really enjoyable, and enjoyed my first 2 rounds in riding a 600 again and back in the World Championship, which was cool. So looking forward to the rest of the season.
Rock and roll, mate. But I want to know, obviously, where. I want to rewind a few years. Yeah. I've literally just broke my podcasting rule, man. I've just jumped straight to now. We might as well just finish there. Do the questionnaire. But obviously I want to know where. I know obviously you come from a racing family.
Yeah.
Your dad's absolute hero. Does he remind you much about it?
Every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See that trophy, son? Yeah. That's mine. Standing in his pants. That's mine. Yeah. Where did it start? Did you know you was going to race? Did you know you wanted to race bikes, or did you just?
No, honestly, no. I think being a younger sibling, whatever Taylor did, I always wanted to do. If he played football, I wanted to play football. If he wanted to play tennis, I'd play tennis, and that's how it went through kind of our childhood up until around maybe 13, 14. And I started racing mini motos at about 9. I think Taylor was a little bit older than me. We started at the same time. But I only did it really because he was getting one. He got a Polini mini moto first, and then I wanted to get one, and it just kind of spiraled out of control after that, I'd say. But as kids, we always had sorry, I spat there.
Just spit on the mic.
Spray. As kids, we always had PW50s, little quads, and I just got Taylor's hand-me-downs up until about 2011.
20.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, just went from there really. But I would play football on a Saturday or on a Sunday, and would race mini motos on the other day, up until I was around kind of 10, 11 years old. Even in my first year in British 125s, I was still playing football on the weekends off. And then when it got a little bit more serious, I realised I wasn't going to make it as a footballer, and there was a chance I could maybe make it as a bike racer. Then I kind of quit all that and went ahead with bike racing.
You do find out, didn't you? There's a couple of... Cal Crutchlow, was he a good footballer, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Was there a few, there's quite a few people
Haslam was good. There's a fair few. I mean, I wasn't like academy level, but I was quite good. I enjoyed it. I got to see my friends. I could train during the week. I was still at school, so all of that side was really good. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I probably narrowed it down in the end to kind of football and bike racing, and yeah, went with a bike racing route, which luckily worked out.
Paid off. But your mum and dad were quite hard on school, weren't they? I remember Taylor saying to me, like, they were quite strict, weren't they, with having an education, like in...
Yeah, strict with Taylor, yeah. Not.
But they're not strict with you, no. Oh, that is awful.
There's different levels to it, and Taylor's academic level was a lot higher than mine. If he got an A, it was, why didn't you get an A star? But it was pat on the back if I got a C. Like, it was amazing. So you played the
game.
Yeah.
You literally falsified your way through, like, just like, Mum, Dad, I probably ain't going to get anything.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a B, wicked.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it went. But Taylor just enjoyed school. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed seeing my friends and PE. Messing about. Yeah, I wasn't rebellious. I wasn't getting told off. I just did the bare minimum task. I did the bare minimum straight through. What's the bare minimum? A C. I'm getting a C. That's how it was. And as long as I could race my bike on a weekend, and the bare minimum kind of kept mum and dad content with my schoolwork. So that's what I did. And then when I came out of school, I went to college and stuff. But no, I was at school was bare minimum and get through and race a bike on the weekend.
I've literally got a confession to make with my SATs or whatever you call it. No, GCSEs, isn't it? I literally don't even know what results I got. It's so bad, isn't it? I literally was the worst human in school ever. Yeah. And if there's any younger people listening, I hope you take me as not what to do, yeah, because I was terrible. And I remember going into one of my GCSEs and being like, my name's not anywhere. And she was like, yeah, you're not sitting this one. Like, I was literally allowed to sit like 3 exams because I was that.
Were you like bad at school?
I was just a little shitbag, man. Yeah, it was just like, I don't even know why. I don't know. Put them on a motorbike obviously just shut me up and made me sort of manage my emotions. Yeah. But literally, and then I got a call from the teacher one day, like to the home phone, and she was like, hello, it's so-and-so, your GCSEs are here, you need to pick them up. And I was like, I actually remember saying, they're not going to change my life, what's in there. Yeah. Just, can you drop them off on the way past my house? And she's like, no, I can't do that. I was like, all right, no worries, that's fine. And I don't know. So if I can find it online, I really need to, because I might surprise myself.
Yeah. Who knows, you could have had a career in something else.
Don't think no. But I just wish I had. Do you know, like now you start doing all right and you're doing a few bits. I wish I had like more knowledge, definitely on Excel. Yeah. Excel haunts me.
That's not an example to follow by for me at school, 100%. I think if I'm looking back now, if I could have stuck in a little bit more and maybe worked a little bit harder, then it'd probably help in certain situations.
It just seems so long in the time because you're like 5 days a week. They're long days, and you just think, "Oh, mate, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm here a week. Yeah, I'm here for another 6 years. Like, I'm not that bothered."
Yeah, that's exactly how I was. My high school, my last kind of couple of years in school, I quite enjoyed it, but I enjoyed some subjects more than others. But yeah, my engineering, I did engineering in the last 2 years of school. My engineering teacher is actually the brother of Tom and Ben Birchall.
That's quite funny. So that's
I think
world,
as it helped that if you like your teacher, definitely that it helped. And he was the middle brother of Ben and Tom, Dave. And sometimes I'd be going to like a race on a weekend and Dave would be coming as well to support Ben and Tom. So it's quite nice in that sense. But
sign it off for me, mate.
But yeah.
What was you going to do at college?
Motorcycle engineering. But honestly, it was like... it wasn't great. I did a year and stopped, and then that was me done then.
And you started racing quite late then, really, didn't you? Like, if you was like in like 9, 10, like most people start like 6 years old, didn't they?
Yeah, we did. We just had Blatter Chinese mini motos that I think Dad got given, and
100%.
We were just riding around the garden. And then it was actually Alan McIntosh that ran the Scottish Mini Motor Championship. He provided me and Taylor with a mini moto each, and that kind of kick-started us. and off we went from there really. But I think Taylor was maybe 11 or 12 when he started, so it's quite late when you think the likes of kind of Chad Onchu won a Grand Prix at 15.
It's mental, isn't it?
That was like Taylor's first year in 125s, and British Championship was 15 years old. So yeah, we started a little bit later than some, but we've made it happen somehow.
Yeah,
so
that's quite funny. I remember, I don't know if it was you though, I remember Taylor because Taylor was really small up until, when he was like 15, he was small, wasn't he? I remember at Aprilia Super Team at Donington. I'm sure it was snowing then. Oh, mate, it was so cold. Literally, it was snowing and we was out on track. I took Fraser Rogers out on the warm-up lap and he cried. Fraser, if you're listening, he cried.
What year was that?
I don't even know. But they'd left us in the garages for so long and it was literally snowing and literally just went off the front row and just tucked the front and just poor Fraser was on the outside. Yeah, but I think that was his first race he qualified pole for.
I raced Fraser in Super Teams.
I think that was 2007.
Okay, maybe I was 2008.
Yeah, well, I'm there. I rode 2008 for the first couple of rounds. Yeah. At Donington, it was really cold.
I think I remember it being cold.
Who had the Scottish crash helmet? And they are little white RSTs.
Yeah, maybe.
It might have been you then. Yeah, it might have been you. Smoked you up then, mate.
Yeah.
You weren't nowhere.
I was useless in Super Team. You ever seen a picture of me on a Super Team bike?
They were such big bikes, weren't they?
Yeah.
And if you were small, like obviously you was quite small then.
I used to drop it all the time.
They're bloody things.
I remember one time Dad set me off in the paddock to go to scrutineering. And someone in Snetterton, someone opened the car door, jammed on the brakes, went down, broke the bike, had to spin it around, take it back. It hadn't even been scrutineered at that point, fix it. Straight back.
That is mad, isn't it?
Trust it. Dad used to just do it for me. I'll take it. You just walk there in my leathers.
The Aprilia bikes, though, like for you to go from Aprilia to the GP bike would be heaven.
Oh yeah,
it? Because they were so like the Moto3 actually. Your first.
I know. I raced the 125 for 3 years, but I was my first year in British Championship. Like I was useless. If you look at the results, Taylor lapped me most weekends when I raced my first year in 2010, but I was that small and light. I weighed 34 kilos. I must have been 4 foot something. And it had literally went onto the 125 purely just so I could touch the floor and it was easier for me to ride. But I was way out of my depth at that point. But as the years went on, it got a little bit better. But yeah, I was so small and light. I remember Mum used to feed me chip butties before bed just to try and put weight on. And I remember trying to get to 40 kilos. Like that was my goal was to get to 40 kilos. And at that point I was maybe 15 or 16 years old.
That's mad. I've always trying to lose weight or trying to get thinner.
Yeah.
I had no problem with ballast when I was younger. I literally used to go to the shop. I'd go to work with my dad if I wasn't at school, if the school wasn't on. Yeah. And I remember vividly, we'd just go to the shop. I'd get a ginger beer, a sausage roll, and a Trials and Motocross News. Who would feed their son that? And my dad just was like, I don't know if he's just trying to make me a geezer. I don't know. It worked. I mean, look at me now, absolute top geezer.
You're chubby, weren't you?
But mate, I was chubby, yeah. And when I got to 16, my dad was like, right, there's a gym down the road. You're allowed to train now. I've got you a trainer. I was like, but I don't want to go gym. And he was like, you need to go gym. I was like, I'm sure this is bullying, Dad. But yeah, that's quite funny. And then obviously you went on to a slow burner, mate. You're a slow burner. The older you get, the better you get.
I was a slow burner for sure. I did 4 years in I did 3 years in the 125 class and then changed to Moto3 in 2012. I did my first year of Moto3 in 2013 and then battled for the championship that year. I think I was second in the end. And then after that, I was 17 at that point, and then it was do we try and get the funds together and go do CV or just do the stock 600 route and try and do the British route?
I know, and the CV thing, it's mega, isn't it? And you probably would have progressed through there, but there's so much money, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the only way you can progress through if you have backing or funding, really. So, especially coming from the UK. And I remember at the time, I really didn't want to do stock 600, but the reality of doing CV at the time, Spanish Championship, wasn't working out. So we went to stock 600, and again I was probably a little bit small and light for that. But in that first year, got a couple of podiums. Second year, battled for the championship with Mason and Ben Curry. Got a few more wins.
Oh, Ben Curry's in it that year as well. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah,
I think I finished third in the championship that year. I was either win it or bin it.
Yeah. Full commit.
Yeah, full
champagne
commitment.
or nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it kind of became not properly serious, but a bit more serious that first year in British Supersport. and managed to win the championship in my first year. And then after that, it's
that kind of stamped you, didn't it?
Yeah,
that's like that. I think I can actually do this.
Yeah, I'd never really won anything up until that point, as in a championship. I never put a proper championship together. I'd always just win or crash. I remember in that first year in Supersport that I got to round like 6 or something. I was leading the championship by 30 points. I'd done the double at Brands. We had 3 races in the weekend. And I went into the last race, thought, I'll just win this. Like, I've done the double. I've got 30 odd points. Like, in my brain, I literally thought, I'll go out and win this. Then that'll be at least like 35 more points in front. And someone passed me and I thought, get out of the way. Passed them back. Took the front into Sheen, broke a rib. And I got back to the garage. And it was the first time I'd ever had like a bollocking off a team. What are you doing? James Westmoreland won. The championship just went down to like nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Oh,
like, you should probably take this
sweaty
serious.
now. Yeah. Now I'm 25 points. Yeah.
After that, I had to it was a good thing making a mistake because I realised how I needed to put a championship together. And then funnily enough, that actually helped going into my 2021 year winning BSB because I could use that as a bit of experience and, worked out in the end.
Yeah, and going back to the CV thing, it's like 350,000, isn't it? But the Spanish and Italians, do they like have funding, don't they, in place where they get like a lot of, even if it's some help?
Yeah, I think it's their national championship, so I get it from their point of view, and they want to bring the Spanish and Italian through.
Yeah,
they're fast. Like you see, Pedro Acosta's come to the Grand Prix Paddock, and that's just one name. There's been so many over the years.
And there is still now, isn't there, like bubbling away in the championship and even before that.
Yeah.
There's just talent, isn't there?
Yeah,
like endless amounts.
And it's probably good as a kid, but then it's harder as you get older, I think, as a Spanish or Italian, where it's maybe harder as a British rider coming through, but then as you get older, it's maybe you get more opportunities. A lot of people go, Brits don't get opportunities, but in the Grand Prix Paddock, there is actually a number of Brits over the years that have maybe stayed there longer than they should have, just purely because they're British. I know for me, my stint I did in Moto2, I only got it because I was British, and it was a little
but you'll
bit
take it.
Political, yeah, for sure. And but as a kid trying to do CV, it's hard. We've had points over the years where we've had RSF, where they had like Wayne Ryan, Fraser Rogers, Kyle, John McPhee, and then now we've got like a British talent team, which I think Eddie O'Shea's in, Max Cook's been over the years, Tom Amos. So there's definitely opportunities to kind of make it a little bit easier for Brits jumping across. But yeah, at the time I did it, there wasn't any real opportunity, or you bank loan it. So yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, Dad, need a few quid.
Yeah.
What did you ever do Red Bull Rookies?
I did. Yeah, did Red Bull Rookies for 2 years, 2012 and 2013.
And then to progress from that, did you need the bankroll to?
Not really. If you were competitive in Red Bull Rookies, probably kind of top 3, or you won the championship. If you won the championship, you got guaranteed a ride with. I don't think it was guaranteed with Aki Ayo at the time, but Red Bull would basically fund you to go into a team.
Oh, that's so sick, isn't it?
Which was amazing. And sometimes, even if you were top 3, you'd still go up. Maybe you'd have to take some money, but you'd still be sponsored by Red Bull. So they'd give you a proper opportunity. And each rider that was in that championship, in the Red Bull Rookie Championship, there was a lot of funding going into it. I think it was around, I don't know, it'd be 6 figures for sure per rider, and there was 24 riders. So all it cost you as a rider was your flights, hotels and hire carts, and that was it. And
that's
they would
such a big opportunity, isn't it?
You'd rock up, you'd get the Alpine style leathers, like everything would be there. And as a kind of 15, 16-year-old kid, it was pretty cool to be a part of. So I did that for 2 years. First year was 125 and the second year was Moto3. So
who was in it with you? Who was you competing against?
Yeah, I was in it in a good year. Now looking back, thinking, I used to race him, but it was like Bastianini, Juan Mir, Jorge Martin.
Gosh, yeah, so it's stacked out.
Brad Ray, Kyle Ride.
Yeah.
There was a few, Philip Otto, Carol Haneke.
It's stacked out anyway,
stacked. I've probably missed out a few. There's loads of people in GPs that are in it. Ramirez. Yeah, there's loads.
It's
but
mad,
it was competitive at the time, and they were fast. Toprak was in it. And looking back now, I kind of realised why I was probably finishing 12th every weekend when I was racing these boys that are now in MotoGP or world champions. So But yeah, it was cool to be a part of, sure.
But when you looked at your Moto2 stint in 2017, I had looked yesterday at the results.
Yeah.
Mate, like Morbidelli had won it. And I went through like the list and I was like, it was mad. Even the people behind you.
Yeah.
Like, you scored a point. But
Yeah.
like the people around you, I was just like...
Scoring that point, honestly, was like made my year because it was so tough.
What bike was it? A Leopard bike?
No, I rode for Kiefer, but it was a Suter bike at the time.
okay.
So
Was Super competitive then?
Not really, no. Yeah, I think if you're experienced, you kind of got away with it. My teammate Dominique Agata was really experienced, and he could kind of make it work some weekends, and then other weekends were tough. And the other two Suter riders were called Tazy and Schrotter, I think, and it's same for them.
Again, they were experienced. Yeah, at that point.
And I just jumped in at the deep end, never ridden on slicks on a Moto2 bike. Stiff chassis. I'd come from like a soft Supersport chassis. Yeah, everything was plush and felt nice. And I got on that and I was like, this is a lot different to ride.
This is not like a sofa.
Yeah, exactly. And it was tough at the time, but it made me a better rider. I didn't really see it at the time. And I had a lot of crashes. It was just tough. I scored a point in Japan in the wet, which was
like a win.
Yeah, it felt like a win. And then I ended that year and then joined back with McCams. But what I didn't realise was when I jumped back on the Superbike, I thought that was going to be a big step, but it didn't feel like a big step for me. I'd ridden a stiff chassis, I'd ridden on slicks, proper brakes, proper suspension, and that was what the Superbike was really, but with a faster engine. So
which you can manage.
Yeah, exactly. And and the only difference I had to get used to was jumping back on the Pirelli tyres more than anything. But yeah, the Moto2 year was tough, but it made me a better rider.
And even like the experience you take from suffering, like people don't understand, like you're traveling halfway around the world and you're literally there for one race. And if you crash out of it, like I say that to Jake now, I'm like, even like it's mad that you can, you do all the work for the weekend. And if you have a crash, you're literally out. And it's like, it's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the good thing with BSB is you get 3 races a weekend.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've crashed out that one. Well, look, next one.
You've travelled 2 hours to the track, whereas you could be travelling to Australia and you work all weekend, like you said, and someone might even take you out and that's it, your weekend's finished. So it's tough on that side of it, but it was a great experience. I really enjoyed it. The team was great. And now as well, I'm back in World Supersport. I'm going to tracks that I've learned from Moto2, so it's played a part in that sense, which has been great. And wouldn't change it for sure. But
the suffering as well is a big part because you just start to go, actually, like when you're younger and you start having a bad weekend, it's the end of the world, isn't it? It's like I can't even think about the next hour, let alone the next minute. Like what's going on? I'm in this dark place. But you actually realise once you suffer like that, when you probably come back to Superbike that next year, it was like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah. And he's probably like really like just loving the fact everything was working and you was competitive.
Yeah, that was it. I think the biggest thing I had in Moto2 was I think I had maybe 14 or 15 crashes that year in 13 rounds.
No injuries?
No, not one injury,
wow.
No. And they were pretty much just all losing the front. And I just had the last little bit of braking. I would be like, oh, I'm fine. And then I'd go down and I just couldn't understand, or I maybe understood it as the year went on, but it was crashing and not knowing why. And that was the biggest thing. I get back to the garage, like, oh, what happened? I lost the front.
Literally don't know.
I don't know. And as you know yourself, when you go down, if you know why you've gone down, then that's fine. But if you
change
don't,
it.
Yeah, then it's tough on that sense. I was 21 at the time. I'd done 1 year in British Supersport and then gone and done Moto2 after a couple of rounds at the start of the season in British Supersport. And yeah, it was tough, but it made me grow up. I was travelling around on my own. And I like I said, I wouldn't change it for the world.
What was the data saying?
Don't know.
Like, was it just like just getting a flat spot and just being like, okay.
No, that was it. Well, I had Italian. Yeah, he was giving it that a lot, but
gracias.
It just chattered all the time. It would chatter and go down, and I was probably doing their heads in because they would chopping and changing the bike.
But you just
trying to make,
and
every time it would chatter and go down. I had to change my braking style as well because for some reason in British Supersport and through Stock 600, I would brake real light initially, and then as I get closer to the corner, I brake deeper and deeper and deeper. And I put it down to that maybe at some tracks there isn't so much runoff, so I didn't want to brake deep and then being too hot and you'd be off the track. Whereas in Grand Prix, there's so much runoff.
Yeah.
So they were like getting into my head, oh yeah, just I don't care if you run off, just brake deep. tarmac everywhere. You can pull back on and you're fine. So I had to change my braking style a little bit. And then, funnily enough, when I came back to Superbike, it actually helped me a lot when I came back. So, yeah, there was lots of things that year that went on that were difficult and tough. But then, like I said, when I got to Superbike, I'm like, oh,
I've got speed. I can stop the thing.
Yeah, and it worked. And that first year in BSB was great as a rookie. So.
Yeah, and where did you finish in that year?
I finished 10th. Again, I was very much going in a podium or I'm going down.
Was that Assen when you crashed at Assen and we nearly avoided? Oh, mate, that was awful, weren't it? Dean Harrison. I was literally right behind Dean. I got ran off the track. I got ran wide or something first lap. And I come back on the track and I was like at the back. Yeah. And obviously you got tangled up, didn't you? Yeah. At chicane and went down in the racing line.
Yeah. Dean Harrison clipped elbows with me about 120 miles an hour.
Honestly, I've rolled off. I rolled off to the side of the track and was like, and my team were like, "What was you doing? The race was still live." I was like, "Man, I was so shocked." Like,
I know,
because he sort of went left and I went right, or he went right, I went left, whatever way it was. And oh my god! And obviously I knew you anyway at that point, so it was just like shit. Like,
I know it was bad because I'd had a really good first race on the Sunday. I'd led pretty much every lap up until 2 laps to go and finished third behind Jake and Leon. And then the next race, I was like, right, I know what to do now. I'm going to try and win it. And the safety car came out, I think, because Linfoot and Bridewell had a nasty crash.
On the start-finish
line. And someone was in front of me and they held back. And then we went into the last left. And I thought, I need to go. And I went into the last chicane. I'm like, oh no, I've got a bit of a gap here. I came onto the start-finish straight, went through the left, and then just high-sided through the left. Landed, was on all fours.
Oh, mate, sliding down the track, looking up at the track.
Spun round. I'm like, oh my god, there's so many bikes.
It's it's like a scene out of Cars.
I know, yeah, it was. Yeah, so I remember I banged my head. I was a little bit concussed, I think, and we got back. And I said to Dad, I just want to go back. We just got in the van, got to the ferry, had a gin and tonic. That knocked me out.
Did it help the concussion?
On the ferry, I woke up in Harwich. I'm like, oh, I'm home, and then just went home, and wasn't good at the time.
Mate, that I always say that just first few laps, just try and just be vigilant and just try and get into the race because once it all breaks up, it's a bit easier, isn't it? It's like first few laps is obviously.
I definitely learned the hard way over the years. I think with a few crashes of my own mistakes, is situations like that because when you crash and you know why, you think right, I won't try and do that again. And definitely learned the hard way and with a few injuries, but went all right in the end. In
well, mate, you learn. And obviously, like when you stood there or the night before your last race at Brands, obviously you got all that experience, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And
I told you that. Did you ever get my invoice about that? Did you ever get that invoice? It was in pit lane. Do you remember? I was like, mate, I said, you're going to do this. And he was like, oh. And I was like, because you've been in this situation before. The other boys, I think at the time it was Bridewell,
Jason and
I was like, none of them have won any other championships like this.
Yeah.
And I think you'd be all right. Because when you wake up on the morning of a championship winning race, something is different, isn't it? Like even you probably felt it, like whether it's the pressure, the excitement, whatever it is, you still have to ride with that, don't you?
Yeah.
And
it was a weird weekend. I can't describe it because I never intended going to win all 3 races. I intended to win that first race. I even told Spanner, I'm going to win that first race on Saturday. We're not celebrating. We're going to shake hands. I'm going to just be like happy, but I'm not celebrating because there's 2 races to go on the Sunday. And I thought,
I want that prize money.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so funny when you watch the race backs. I pull into Parc Ferme and normally, you know what Spanner's like? He's like, wow, giving it the big high five and yipping up. And I pulled in and he was like,
didn't know what to do.
And I turned to Dad and Dad's like, handshake. So I told Dad the same thing. He's like, just gave my dad a handshake.
Inside there, just absolutely screaming.
And I'd got 20-something points at that point. So
was it done then?
No, it wasn't done at all. But I went. I think you have a plan in your head, and sometimes a plan doesn't work. And I had a plan in my head, and the plan was to win that first race, which I did, and then it just made Sunday a lot better. But it was a strange weekend because I don't know. It was a little bit eerie. I was so relaxed. I don't know why I was so relaxed. And I was almost in a carefree mood where I thought, do you know what? I don't really care. I did, but I thought, I'm just going to not care and see where I go. And ended up winning the first 2 races, won the championship, and then definitely was carefree in that last race. But yeah, it was an amazing day for everyone for sure.
Did you stress yourself out before that, do you think? And then you got to the point where you was just like, do you know what? Because there's always that fault, isn't there? And even the Alton Park was a big turning point for you then, weren't it, that year? I think the big turning point for everyone was when you done so well at Alton, because you've never naturally gone well there, have you?
No.
And you showed up, and it's almost like people dismiss you, like, oh, so-and-so is going to go well. It's like that, isn't it? Like most races.
For sure.
And then all of a sudden there's you. Like, what? Hello? What are you doing there?
I know, yeah. I just turned it on for some reason.
Just switched it on.
Because the weekend before that, I'd been to Silverstone and I'd won a race. Jason won a race, but we had where I crashed and Jason hit me. Jason was injured. I broke my hand and wrist, and I'd only had a week off, I think, and then it was Alton. It was still giving me ag. And I remember riding around in practice. Like, if you look at my results over the weekend, I was like nowhere all weekend. And Taylor was like, just do minimum laps in the race. You're just gonna have to bite the screen and just hopefully adrenaline takes over. And that's exactly what happened in the first race. I bit the screen in qualifying and qualified fourth, I think. And then in the race, I was sat on the grid. I thought, I'm just going to hang on to these lot in front of me, because I know Brooks was going to be fast. I knew Jason was going to be fast. I thought, I'm just going to hang on, see what happens. And then Jason went down. And I'm like, right, you just need to win this now and get the points gap down, which was unfortunate for Jason, but fortunate for me. And then it was kind of game on at that point. So
yeah, big flip that year, weren't there, for your team? Because obviously Jason had done so well up until the showdown, and it just didn't go right. And
he'd put his the perfect championship together up until Alton Park, really, which was obviously a shame for him and maybe a shame for his side of the garage. But then on the flip side, for my side, it was great. But at that point, like, everyone's got their opinions with the showdown, and if I was in Jason's shoes, I'm sure you would have been pissed off. But
and
if he was in my shoes, he'd probably be like, "No, I love the showdown."
Definitely.
So it was hard for the last 3 rounds. But even going into the last round, I only had 10 points lead, so it still wasn't done by any means at that. Well, there was 4 of us that could still win it going into that last round. So I had to kind of step up and try and do my best I could, and luckily it all came good, which was great, because it was 25 years on since Dad won.
That was mad as well. Yeah, it's like your year, weren't it?
Yeah,
so
it
weird.
was strange how it worked out. I remember on the Thursday I was riding around the paddock somewhere going back to the motorhome, and I seen Dad's Cadbury's Boost Superbike in the paddock. I'm like, no, why is that here? I don't want that here, because I thought, there's no way if Tommy Bridle wins the championship, Dad's going to be sat on the grid with Tommy, like 25 years.
Why is that? Yeah.
And so there was a few things that went on that I was like, no, I don't want to see that. I just want to concentrate on winning. And yeah, it was like a fairy tale in the end. It did all come good, and partied hard Sunday night.
Hard. But mate, some years I genuinely think, you could walk across the M25 blindfolded and not get hit by a car. And then, like, you look at the year, was it 2021? Or was it 22 last year? Hang on, when did you have a real unfortunate start?
Last year,
Last year. Like, it all started, didn't it, when you went to Cartagena?
Yeah.
And then you come back from injury. Let's talk about that, because that was just so... You had, like, the most unluckiest falls, didn't you? It's like the start of the season.
I think a championship... Well, you know yourself that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I felt like that was what it was like in my British Supersport year. And I know it's easy saying that when you've won, but certain things happen over the year and you think, God, like, he's meant to win that championship. And I feel like it was the same for Brad, and I'm not taking anything away from Brad, because he had an amazing year, won so many races, deserved to win the championship before the showdown, deserved to win the championship in the showdown. But certain things happened where, like, Jason getting taken out at Alton, Brad's leading, you think, oh my God, like...
That doesn't happen.
No, exactly. And then even the second race where Brad was having a little bit of a disaster, Jason got taken out again, and it was like, oh. And then the last race he didn't race, and it just made it more comfortable for Brad. But I think sometimes if it's meant to be, it is meant to be, and he was 100% deserved to win it. But
you're saying that outside of that, sometimes there's just some helping factors that you just can't put your finger on, can you? And you're like, like, we all seem to just take ourselves out and not the right person, if that makes sense.
I remember as well at Snetterton, I completely messed up with the safety car. I got a penalty. Brad was like 2/10 behind going over the line with that safety car, and that 2/10 made the difference where he didn't get a penalty.
I know, you in the front 3. And it's like, hang on, are you just giving this to him again? It was mad, isn't it?
It was quite funny, but last year was tough. I had a big injury in January, came back, a big injury in April, and then just ended the year with a big injury. So that helmet if anyone that's watching, that was the Silverstone crash where I broke my left ankle.
You basically crashed on the right, on the exit, or like sort of as you're turning in?
Okay, as I turned in, the rear came round, but then as I came out the seat, I was obviously still hanging on, and I landed and I opened the throttle, and it just made it spin sideways, and I was on a roller coaster basically till the start-finish line.
Oh.
I think I crossed the start-finish line at something like 148 mile an hour, and then after the start-finish line, it flicked me off, and then down. But I just come back from breaking and dislocating my right shoulder and breaking my right ankle.
So it's literally just kicking you.
It just kept going like rah, 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 and then it just flicked me off.
Oh.
And then the bike, I think the bike ended up towards turn 1, but in the gravel, and I was not far behind it. And then I banged my head, so I was a little bit like delirious, and I sat up, and I was like, oh my God, I've broken my left ankle. I knew from my right ankle what it felt like, but I could tell I'd broken it, but I could tell it was worse. And it got me in the medical centre and took the boot off. I was screaming.
That's the worst part. Don't. Oh, it cringes me out.
Where it broke it, like kind of like dislocated it. And they were like, yeah, you broke their ankle. And I kept going, I turned to Dad and I was like, I cannot believe it. Like, I've worked so hard to come back from the end of middle of January to the start of April. Because have you had a shoulder injury?
I've done muscles in my shoulder and ligaments.
Any type of shoulder injury is just sore, and it just didn't feel right the whole time. So I just worked so hard to get back with my shoulder more than anything. Wasn't so bothered about my right ankle because it was on the right side,
and they could pin it up, and
and it had screws in it and stuff, so it wasn't going anywhere.
Sounds like we don't care about our bodies, but we do really care about our bodies. But it is like that, and it's like, well, I can just screw that together. That's not a problem. But the muscles are a problem, aren't
bare
they?
Minimum Taz.
And
do the bare minimum with that.
Bare minimum. 2 screws, fine, whatever. Yeah.
And then and then I'd gone to hospital, and they're like, "Oh, your ankle's worse than your right one." I had to have 2 plates either side of my ankle, 12 screws in it, and then that was me out because we had. It's a bit like you now. You had your Silverstone test last week, and then you're at Silverstone this week, and that's exactly what it was like. Week before was a Silverstone test. So I missed the first round, missed Donington Park, and then came back at Knockhill. So,
but you say as well, like the bare minimum, mate. You was a determined little shitbag, really, aren't you? Like you are quite like when you get on that bike.
Yeah,
you are quite focused and quite determined, aren't you, with what you want to achieve?
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of what I've been like through my whole career.
And you think like the thinking side of things.
Yeah, sometimes I've been on the back foot a little bit, but I've always just been determined. Like at Alton Park in that showdown, I'd never finished in 4 years in Superbike. Never finished on the podium in Superbike.
Barely top 10 at Alton.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the start of that year, I was 18th in the test.
Wow.
Like that was all in. I was 18th, and then I won the race, and a lot of it was probably through determination. I think Jason even said like, doesn't matter where Taz qualifies, he can always kind of turn it on in the race.
Come through.
Not always. It doesn't always happen. I can't always rely on that, but determination's definitely got me through a lot of it. And that was after the first injury in January. It kind of taught me what I needed to do to come back and be fit again. And so I was just motivated to fix up the ankle. Nothing else was injured, and just focus on that, and then get back for Donington. And Donington, I hadn't really ridden all winter. All pre-season, I did a little bit at Snetterton and then crashed at Silverstone, and finished 10th, I think, in the first race. But I was like so tired.
Well, I bet you was absolutely gassed.
Proper T-Rex arms, hanging onto the bike. But as the season went on, I got fitter again, and a bit of bike fitness came back, and it came good.
I was watching the Donington Park race the other day. You talk about slow burners.
Yeah.
I got into the lead and you was like 7th. From that race, you beat me over the last lap.
21.
21, yeah.
Oh,
I was like, I'm leading.
I was like 13th.
I know, literally. And then I was in like 2nd and 3rd, and you was like 8th or 9th or 10th still.
Yeah.
But you just gradually like picked your way forward. Yeah, you had a right plan though, didn't you? You said in the post-race interview that you had a plan, and then you was waiting for the last few laps, and you must have just had that because you just had that little bit of extra grip, didn't you, onto the back straight?
Saying that's why you didn't win.
Yeah, 100%. No grip. But then we made a change to the bike for the next race. I was right up for it, and then it rained and then I went out on a hard wet, and I just could not could not.
The first wet race was a disaster.
Yeah,
wasn't
remember the third one? You went out on a hard wet out of the pitch. You said you was out the seat everywhere, and you come in and changed to a soft
Yeah.
wet. I just committed, mate. I was like, hard wet. This is me.
Did you make it work or not?
No, not at all. Pulled off after 2 laps. DNF'd.
Did you?
Yeah. If I finished like top 6 that weekend, I'd have gone into the last round like within like the top 5 position of winning the championship. But
Yeah.
I DNF'd.
Jim not speak the whole way home.
No, he's fuming. He lost his head. But great. So who did you used to idolise? And I go on. You're going to say something then.
No,
Go on,
I just sorry quickly. I remember I'm blabbing on, but that Donington race we'd had a first wet race and then it was dry. It was windy, and for some reason everyone started using zeros in that dry race.
I know.
But we all went on X's. That's
Christian
why.
had a zero in.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because you come together with him.
Yeah, at the hairpin.
Yeah.
But I just had because my plan was I didn't want to like chew the cold tear it, so I thought I'll just try and slowly burn away at this, and managed to.
I didn't have a plan at that point.
Yeah, but then I broke down in the last race.
Yeah,
I had an 18-point lead, and then I broke down in the last race, and then it went back to 10 points.
Because first race was survival mode when it was so wet. You just survived and finished like 6th, didn't you, or 7th or something?
Yeah, I think I was even worse than that.
Was it 8th?
Yeah, I was literally like
you and Jason just surviving, weren't it?
Yeah, we came in with cold tyres, and I think to make it work, you had to like push, but I was not willing to push, so it was just making it worse. But yeah, idolise.
Yeah, who did you grow up? Well, obviously you had your dad there doing bits, and obviously he had a lot of successful mates around him.
Yeah,
did you? But
I think maybe growing up, Valentino Rossi was like everyone's hero. I think. Well,
yeah, definitely
much.
mine.
Like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But as I started getting into bikes, like started being in the British Superbike Paddock, I used to go when Taylor raced. Even for the first 2 years Taylor was racing there, I would just skip school on a Friday and just live the dream in the caravan.
Officer to the Mackenzie house.
Yeah, or I'd come on a Saturday sometimes. But I used to just love being in the paddock and just seeing everyone and just riding around on my push bike and just being a nuisance probably. But
we used to switch off generators.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Yeah, your era in Stock 600
we
was bad.
used to switch off generators.
Every weekend
you'd
get a letter. All the Stock 600 riders are banned from riding scooters.
Honestly, I know. We used to go down to that little track and just jump the scooters and that. It was absolute havoc. But the Gen switcher off it is so... Because people are in their motorhomes making their cups of tea and that, and you just go... and you... Fucking hell! What's that in? And they come out and it's so dark. There's no lights around. So you can just sit behind another motorhome and just watch them come out and just flick it off again. Honestly, those days. I might actually start doing that this year again. Because that is brilliant.
Was funny. I forgot about stuff like that. In the paddock at night when you were a kid, there was so much stuff went on.
So much. Like we used to play.
Can't be repeated. Probably.
What was the game we used to play? Like Manhunt. We used to play Manhunt with like 20 of us, and it was just like. Just chasing cows around the field at Cadwell.
Yeah.
Like those days were mega. But you had like a little brotherhood, didn't you, at the track? And it's just like, you just go and catch up with your mates. It's mega.
No, it was good fun. But yeah, I think being in the paddock at that point, I probably looked up to people like Johnny Ray, Leon Haslam especially, Cal Crutchlow. These are like, they'd be like walking around with the Monster cap on or the Red Bull cap and be Superbike riders. And then they went off into World Superbike. And at that point, I was interested in World Superbike, so it's probably those guys that I was probably most interested in and kind of aspired to be at that point. But times change, you then kind of trying to do the GP route, and you've got GP idols and Danny Pedrosa and people like that.
Is that because of size?
Just
you've literally
I
picked
could relate to him because we're both 4'5".
I feel your pain.
Yeah,
both 6 foot.
Yeah, as time's gone on, especially World Superbike, when coming back to BSB, that's where I aspired to be, and still aspiring to be there now. But yeah, all those guys were my heroes at the time, I'd say.
You never know though, do you? That's the thing with racing. Like you might literally get a call up this year. Oh yeah, I need you to fit in on a Moto2 seat. You go and do it, have a good run, and end up in Moto2.
Yeah,
it's hard, isn't it? Like I was saying to Jake, and like you guys, like the guys that are in Moto3 now are making the mistakes that kind of you make when you go to Moto2 because you've got the years of learning, and it's so hard, isn't it?
Yeah,
like the championship, like the Moto2 championship in general is just like
that's what for me, I did 3 rounds in that second year in British Supersport, and then I remember Dad was in Jerez commentating on Red Bull Rookies, and he rang me saying, someone's asked, Stephen Keefer's asked if you want to ride Moto2. I was sat at home watching it on the TV. I was like, this doesn't seem real. Yeah. Sinking into the sofa, oh my God. I needed a tissue for something else. I was like, I just probably more so, I was like, oh my God, I'm not sure if I want to do it. Yeah, I'm like.
Yeah. It's a Shark's Tank, isn't it? That
Yeah,
bloody championship.
100%. And at that point, I was riding for Mackenzie in Supersport, and he had offered me to ride the Superbike for the year after. And then I got the opportunity to do Moto2, and I'm like, I don't want to let Steve down, but it's an amazing opportunity. And then it was tough, and it was definitely a small fish in a big pond.
Mad, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny how opportunities come up for sure.
Do you think, talking about size, I think in BSB, the size, it's difficult, isn't it? Because, like, where I would have it a bit easier at, like, Cadwell and places like Alton, maybe with the change of direction, you don't. But then it's like, do you think it's like it evens itself out in British Championship level, at least?
Yeah, I think...
What do you find, like, where would you have suffered the most? Like, physically at Cadwell, like, the change directions?
Not even, like, the first part of the track would be fine. It'd literally just be hall bends. Like, I've been injured before at Cadwell and watching you or Hickey, especially Hickey, he's, like, sits in the middle of the bike and he just... moves his elbows and it just it looks effortless.
Yeah.
Whereas, mate, I'm sure it's not, and I'm sure it is physical still, because riding BSB is physical. But yeah, I think places like Cadwell, I would have a disadvantage. Maybe a little bit in the wet, I would have a disadvantage.
You have to literally move your body weight over, don't you? Yeah. Through hall bends, like.
But then places like Thruxton, and especially on the Yamaha, Silverstone, Donington, I think I could get away with being light and saving the tyre a little bit. But coming back to Superbike, like, I had loads of people tell me that it wouldn't work being so small. And I thought, maybe
that's just
you're right.
Motivation, isn't it?
Yeah, but it gave me so much motivation in that first year to try and step up and be fast. I had a bit of pressure being in a good team with Josh Brooks as my teammate and stuff. Good bike. But yeah, there was a lot of determination to try and make it work being a midget. And yeah, in the end, I keep saying in the end, but in the end it came good.
In the end.
And that's what it was.
You're British champion.
It was a tough 4 years, and it didn't come easy at all. And didn't have Niall Mackenzie as my dad just giving it to me. He didn't put the helmet on, unfortunately. I had to go out there and do it myself. So yeah, it was tough, but...
Is he there for advice? Like, does he say, like, mate, calm yourself down, or?
Yeah.
It's because he seems like he's a calm guy anyway, isn't he? He brings that calming influence, doesn't he? Which is probably quite nice.
From the outside.
Yeah,
no, I'm joking.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, as a kid growing up, I probably...
Did he ever ration you on porridge and shit? No, he probably didn't. He probably made you eat more.
No, he as a kid, he never...
He said he used to throw wobblers and then he calmed himself down. Like.
Especially with Taylor. I think with... Taylor will laugh, and if he comes on the podcast, he'll probably say it, but he would always make the mistake, and I'll be in the background like, oh, won't do that. Like, he'd say something or do something, and Dad would tell him off, or he'd make a mistake on track, or he'd do something away from the track and think, yeah, I won't do that. And Taylor taught me so much growing up, like, indirectly probably. He didn't mean to teach me it, and he had probably had to learn the hard way a lot more than me.
I was going to say, I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, it just made my ride a little bit easier. But no, Dad was good in the sense that he taught us what it's like to be a bike racer from a young age. Like, this is going to sound proper mad mark, but before school, being like 13, 14, he'd be packing the van every weekend. He'd be spending money taking me and Taylor racing. He wanted to see if we were willing to put the effort in away from the track. So he'd be like, I'm getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we had a bit of gym equipment at the house. He's like, I'm going to go on the running machine or something. Like, if you want to come and train with me, then that's fine. But if you want to stay in bed, then that's fine as well. But, it was like reverse psychology. Like, I was looking at him thinking, you want me to come in the gym, but you're just saying that. Don't, like, if you want to stay in bed, that's fine. So, like, 13, 14, we'd be up, like, 6, half 6 before school. There was 3 machines. There was a treadmill, cross trainer, and a bike. I'd do 10 minutes on each, literally just like jogging and pedaling slow. But I think he just wanted to see if we would be willing to see what it takes. And doing 30 minutes exercise isn't a lot. It doesn't win your British Superbike races.
No, when you're younger though, it just gives you that.
It was a lot. I'd wake up at 6 like feeling sick, like oh my God, I've got to get in the treadmill and do 10 minutes now. Like, but then by the time I was like 16, 17 and getting a bit more serious with Red Bull rookies where you're having to train and there's fitness tests involved and riding for teams where they're expecting you to be training, he taught me all that as a kid. And then it was like almost embedded me at that point where it was like, oh, that I have to train.
Yes.
Whereas I know other kids and
Even me, that's what I was saying to you earlier. Like I didn't even know anything. Even in my schoolboy days, we didn't train, we just rode.
Like Kyle Ride would not mind me saying this, and I was trained with him yesterday, but he's
training.
His training as a kid, it came so easy, as he had so much talent as a kid that he probably thought, I don't have to train, and he maybe didn't understand it because he'd not had that guidance. And then even now, he's still changing his training to try and make it work. And I think that maybe having not so much the natural talent and dad teaching me that you need to train, you need to do that, kind of paid off coming in these later years now. Whereas maybe if you had a lot of natural talent and you didn't have to work hard, maybe as you get older, when it becomes harder, that's when it's tough to make it work. So.
The fundamentals.
Yeah, but Mad Mark was there from day one.
Yeah, us, come on, get up, stand up, get your time. Right, we're going to move on now to a little section called the track review. I don't know why I say it now, a little section.
Track review
sounds
very
so it's just a little insight to... so it can be your favourite track for many reasons. It doesn't have to be because you like riding it. You could say, do you know what?
Yeah.
Burger fan there, Danny's Burgers at Knockhill.
Yeah. That's a genuine thing, isn't it?
I know, it is a thing.
Seen the pick and mix at Knockhill as well. It's good as well, yeah.
I know, I just don't like being seen there doing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, Steph, if you come, sneak over there.
Kids, what? You want a pick and
mix?
What?
You want 30 quid's worth? All right, go on. Dad's hopefully going to be on the podium. Favourite track?
If I'm picking one in BSB...
No, just world. Everywhere, across the whole wide world.
Brands Hatch.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's good, yeah.
I'd had a good memories across all classes at Brands Hatch. I love riding, going off the Indy circuit and out around the back section. It's so
chopping
nice.
off the brakes there and thinking...
Nice summer's day at the end of the back straight. It's nice in there, isn't it?
I think nice summer's day just riding out of pit lane at Brands and there's fans everywhere and you just think, wow, like this is my job. It is incredible, isn't it?
Last year was really nice weather there. Yeah. At Brands Hatch, I've been fortunate and lucky enough to ride at a lot of circuits all over the world, but Brands Hatch was pretty good. Mandalika, I'd just been in Indonesia. That was pretty cool.
Sick.
Yeah, that was really enjoyable.
Most memorable moments got to be your championship winners in the Brands.
Yeah, Brands Hatch, I'd say so. Yeah,
that's an easy one.
Doing the triple, winning. Yeah,
that's a good weekend. Skinted Steve.
Yeah, Skinted
Steve's like, I'm done, mate.
Yeah,
I am done. Yeah, pulling money from all sponsors. I need more money. Yeah, legend. Favourite part of the track? You've already explained that.
Yeah, Hawthorne's end of the back straight. Yeah.
What about Old Dingle Dell up the right blind? Oh.
Yeah, I've always been a little bit wary of that because my superbike. Well, I think a lot of superbikes it pumps when the tire goes
And you didn't have
up.
much weight over the rear there, eh?
No, I just used that as an excuse.
Yeah.
But no, and then I took the front in Sheen, and since that tuck in the front there, I've always been wary in there. Because that championship year when I went to pass Bridewell, I went to pass him into Sheen. I'm like, no, you're going to tuck the front and break the rib.
The video killed me.
Pull back.
The video of the man with the tailor done with the sniper.
That was into Sterling's. Took the front twice into Sterling's in 2 years running, put it into the trees twice.
That video,
and
honestly.
Then I slipped on. When I stood up, what people don't realise is it looks like I just fell off, but where there's Armco, there's like a section of Armco and then a wooden post, and it had been raining that day. I think you were actually in front of me when I took the front because it was damp.
Definitely,
we're on
mate.
slicks and there was trees.
Yeah, I was always somewhere near the front.
No, I just committed in practice, went down, stood up and like, oh, where's my bike? I stood up on top of that Armco.
Video.
I thought, oh, there's like a square post, like that looks sturdy to stand on. Whoa. And then what people don't know is there's a banking down there. My bike was at the bottom of the banking, chains clattering.
I know, it's like 15 foot down, isn't it? Like
Engine's
10, 15
still going.
foot.
I'm like, I need to get down there. I went to step down the banking, took the front, went down on my backside, and then...
Did you hit the chain?
No, and then I looked at the bike. I'm like, oh my God, like we're not getting this out of here.
My baby!
Yeah. Done that 3 times. I did it at Alton Park last year as well. It was in the trees.
Oh, Cadwell.
Cadwell, yeah, sorry, 4 times. It was probably the 5th time, actually.
That was a tasty crash, that Cadwell.
Yeah.
That whole thing, though, it really cracks me up. Why I was laughing was because we're talking about the bike pumping. When I was at a test the other day, Seeley said, I need a softer spring in there. Just fucking pop one out of the top of a pen and chuck that in.
Pen springs,
pen spring.
That's what I always say to Spanner.
And that just killed me. That just
whenever
literally...
it's wet, I'm like, pen springs, put the pen springs in.
And and that was a real bad accent. Alistair, if you listen, that was terrible.
What are you laughing for?
No, yeah, that was a terrible accent. Hi, bye. That's what we say in my team. Hi, bye. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, it wasn't good. When I got back to the garage, they weren't so pleased with me.
Yeah, and your racing persona then, because you are obviously you get on with most people, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
But you're an aggressive little dude on the bike.
I think maybe people don't like me, and some people off the track.
I think you're fair though. I think you race quite fair. Like I don't think you make.
Cheers, though.
No, but you're not very.
I think I'm thorough.
Yeah, I don't think that you make moves unless you know you're going to get through properly. Because you know, like sometimes I might make a move or other competitors where you go, I'm in a position and I've got to just make it now, and you sort of go with it. You don't seem to do that. You seem to sit back a little bit and go, well, I'm going to try and do this now.
Yeah.
Actually, no, you horrible Silverstone last round. Oh my god. Silverstone last corner. You are horrible, mate.
Hey, you might use that move. This
I
weekend.
might try and just nerf somebody with my big wings.
Yeah.
That was a move. But what people don't understand when we make your moves is there's a small time period where you can make a move, isn't there?
Yeah.
And you're on the absolute limit. Let's talk about if you're like doing a 53-second lap round Silverstone, you've probably got at that corner in that time like 0.0005 million thousandths of a second to make a move, and sometimes it doesn't come off. But like, what do you do? Do you know what I mean? You can't not make a move, can you?
No.
And people don't understand that, do they? And sometimes it does go wrong.
Oh,
I'm sticking up for you.
Bored about talking about it, but yeah, it's long. It's 4 years ago now, but yeah, what had happened in that race?
We don't even have to talk about that race. We can just talk about it in general.
I think sometimes when you put the effort in and you're on someone's back wheel and you think, I want to make a pass, you got a plan in your head, there's a bit of a gap, you go for it. Dad's always, again, something that he's taught me that I remember driving home from Stock 600 race and I said to him, I wish I'd passed such and such into Druid. And he was like, I don't want you to say to me again, I don't want to be driving, not in a bad way, but it's like, I don't want you to drive home again and say, I wish I'd done this, just do it.
Yeah.
And he kind of just drilled it into me. And again, maybe the Silverstone situation, I'd sat behind Jason for 29 3/4 laps, and maybe I didn't want to drive home and say,
I should have tried that.
I should have done that, yeah. So again, it was unfortunate that he went down.
But there was a gap. You saw a small gap there opening, and then you went back. You went for it. That's how
everyone's
it is,
got their own opinion, but I was sat right behind him, which no one else was, and I saw a gap, and I thought I'm going to stick my front wheel in there, and he was still leant over. We made contact, and he went down. So again, I'm over it. But
everyone's over it now. It's so long ago.
What was weird from that point, I'd never really had any hate or any bad comments about me, and after that, since then I've had a little bit of hate.
Did
Not
the social
bad.
media
I've got really good support,
gremlins
but
come out?
Yeah, I get a little bit of abuse every now and again, but
mate,
someone's just tarred me with that brush.
Love that though, yeah. I love that, mate. I think I crashed like a couple of times last year, and people still like, oh yeah, you're a crasher. It's like, mate, do us a favour and fuck off. See that door over there, mate? Go and take yourself through it, your helmet.
Yeah.
But it is like that, isn't it? There's so many good people in the sport.
Keyboard
and then
warriors.
there's such a handful of helmets, isn't there?
Yeah.
And our sport is
just
great.
a handful, isn't it?
Yeah, like our sport is mega, and we've got the do or die fans, which are mega, but then you do have the odd helmet that you just think you actually really don't know, mate.
And it happened to Jason, because Jason's one thing with him, he's got real good support. He's all his merchandise and everything on Facebook. And last year he did nothing wrong at those 2 old park races, and then suddenly he started getting abuse and hate, and it was quite serious, some of it. So it's funny how it flips, but not just better to ignore them.
My advice is to ignore them, mate. Yeah,
I actually
general.
quite enjoy reading some of the comments. Have you been on that BSB forum?
No, I would never do it.
I go on there and sometimes read the comments.
I think I'd end up getting angry and punching the screen or something, punching my phone screen. I always stick up for Jake though. I see comments of Jake on like social media, and I'm like, just letting him have it.
My cousin gets involved, Gaz. Gaz will probably listen to this. He used to get involved on some of the comments.
I just used to say, like, I said to people like abused me before, and I said, mate, I can guarantee you're going to be at round 1 asking me to sign a poster.
Yeah.
And I know your face now.
Yeah.
And the moment you do, I'm not signing that poster.
Wanted.
I want to punch your face in, but I can't do that because I'm a professional motorcycle racer.
Yeah.
And I do not want to go to prison.
And a dad.
And a father.
And a businessman.
And a multiple business owner.
Podcast host.
And a gardener and a cyclist. And
views have dropped. Punch that bloke in the face.
I know. Yeah, we'll probably go up actually. We could get the guy on the podcast and punch him in the face. Right, we're moving on now into a little section, my quiz, and I don't know. We haven't quite cracked the name for it yet.
Yeah.
You're quite an intelligent person. Your brother, I think your brother's going to get.
Yeah, Taylor will probably get it.
I think your brother, when he's got any time between his busy schedule, his 40 hours of travelling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Team boss, vlogger,
big doer,
tuber.
Yeah.
all that.
What is your name for it now?
Right,
just
it's
Danny's
just quiz.
Right, okay.
It's really boring, it says it. But I've basically just come up with these questions, and I've tried to be a bit hard, but you're quite knowledgeable, so
Okay. I've listened to a couple now, and they're actually like.
Are they harder than you
how
think?
many knee sliders is Shane Byrne used in 2017 season? That's what it's like.
I'm going to get that. That's a good question. Alpine style knee sliders, they're tough old buggers, mate.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Where's mine? Oh, I've not got my knee down there once. Right. What is the fastest lap of the TT speed wise?
Oh my god.
Come on.
130. 130. I want to say 135.4, 136.4.
That is literally 135.4.
Oh,
genuinely. That is good. Can you see my phone? You're infectious. Who uses the number 5 in Moto3?
Messia.
Yeah, cool. I was going to say, but
Anything,
on the spot,
any questions like that, I'll always get.
On the spot, that's quite hard.
I'll probably jinx myself.
How many top 10 finishes in Red Bull rookies did Taylor have?
Oh my god, I know he had a 5th in Brno. I'm gonna say 8.
4.
Oh,
apparently. That's what Google said. That
Maybe
stat
it
could
is,
be completely wrong. Taylor, you need to
I
back
knew
that
it's
up.
4. I just wanted to look back.
all my information, guys, come from Google, right? So if it's wrong, it's not me, it's Google. I haven't just, Anyway, who's the fastest Mackenzie?
There's no question.
It's easier, your dad, isn't it? Yeah, Jan. And who do you famously share your number with, your racing number with?
95.
Yeah. Who's the most famous 95? Doesn't necessarily mean motorbike racing.
Lightning McQueen.
That's such a lame question. That is a dad question, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good.
That's ultimate dad. It's true though.
Yeah, because I remember Iden had a Lightning McQueen.
Yeah,
lid
the
a few
HJC
years
one.
ago. Yeah, I was a bit
Where
jealous.
did the 95 come from, by the way?
Born in 1995.
Yeah,
I've had what, you born in 98?
I wanted 93. Yeah, 83. I wanted 93, and in my first super team race, I've raced with 93 for the last couple of years at motocross. Went to Bemsey round 1, and 93 was taken. I was like, shit. Oh, I can't. His name was Spencer, I'm sure, Spencer something. So I ended up just taking 10 off and rocked with 83 and stuck with it. Never had another number.
Quick maths.
Yeah, quick math.
Yeah.
Quick math. I normally only get into quick maths when I'm in the flow of racing.
Yeah.
I don't normally just switch it on like that.
Doing calculations mid-race.
Yeah. And we've heard about your 2023. Have you ever thought about life after racing? You probably haven't because you're having a sick run.
Yeah. No, I think just keep
hopefully get a job with your brother.
Yeah, just keep him. To be honest, when I've looked now and I've spent a little bit of time with a few people that have kind of moved on and done different jobs now out of bike racing, Taylor being obviously one of them, going into a bit of a management role. I quite like maybe the thought of like what Eugene or Chaz is doing, a bit of a spotter type being associated in the paddock, still being associated to a team, but doing the spotting role. Chaz is test rider for MotoE as well. I'm not sure test rider would be for me.
I think there's a lot of roles, isn't there?
Yeah,
and I think you just find them, don't you? Like once you're in that circle, aren't you? Like,
exactly.
Obviously you've got the Eurosport, like your dad's involved with Eurosport, Taylor's got his team, you've got all the various friends in racing. You end up kind of just, you're going to try and stay in that.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm not, I ain't got the GCSEs to go.
I've got a job for you, mate. You can fit furniture.
No problem. I'll happily
we'll get you up here.
Be on the tools.
We're going to do Kimura's move soon. We'll get you up here for that. That'd be great crack. Get you on Instagram.
Yeah, I'll be up.
I don't know. I'll take you up on that.
How much?
I don't know. 30 quid, 40 quid.
My lunch involved.
And that's it then, mate. Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
obviously, best of luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you.
All of us will be watching.
Yeah.
Your shrine will remain. I can't believe they put Pecco there.
Am I allowed to mention Kimura?
Absolutely,
yeah,
mate.
The people that don't know why there is a bit of a shrine of me is because Kimura that is a sponsor of this podcast, host of this podcast.
Yeah. This is their building.
Yeah.
Kimura's building.
I mean, Danny wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me, so...
I don't think I'd be if it weren't for Mason, actually.
Yeah, Mason. Yeah, it's down to Mason.
But then weirdly, you are tied in with Kimura as well. So it's a proper weird thing,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's funny because I've been involved with Kimura since 2021.
Championship win.
Yeah, told Chris and Simon and all the guys that don't expect every year to be like that. And then last year it wasn't. It was like the opposite. But
yeah, first year they got involved, literally win the championship. That was easy.
Yeah, no, it's good. But yeah, I've been with Kimura a few years now, so it's pretty cool to be associated. And the office is obviously cool to come down to the pool table and stuff and simulator. So yeah, always enjoy coming down and.
You done a lap yet?
Finally done. Yeah, I nearly put my shoulder out.
Spa-Francorchamps, mate. It's too
grunts.
long. It's too long. I can't. I messed the track up and I've got to start again.
Get me to Knockhill.
Get me to Knockhill. Little lap, little cheeky one. So you got a couple of weeks in Assen?
2 weeks off. I've got a test coming up next week, maybe. It's not been confirmed yet, and then Assen, Catalonia.
That's right. When this releases anyway, this podcast, you'd have already done it, mate. You'd have been on the podium.
I'm coming to Silverstone this weekend,
Nice.
so
I'll be there.
done the triple?
Do you want to stand in my garage?
Yeah, I will actually. Yeah.
Don't worry, Yamaha.
Do you need an assistant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need a helmet holder
How
and
much?
polisher. Can't
Polish
wait.
it?
Yeah.
Is Steph not there that weekend?
No, she's not. No. You're dead. Right, guys, on that note, thank you for listening. Obviously, we've had Taryn in. He's been amazing. Check out the socials. Send us your comments and see you in the next one. The big double thumber.
Danny Buchan. What a ride this is, and it is on.